Gracious God, creator of the universe, and yet the lover of my soul. Alpha and Omega, and yet I can call you friend. I don't have to beg you for anything, but I can thank you for everything. God, I thank you because this is the day that you have made, and I can rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for this day of magnificence and glory and splendor. God, I thank you for life, health, and for strength. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for peace, love, and joy. I thank you for the essence of you that envelops me right now, from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. We thank you for this day of manifestation. We thank you for the day of revelation. We thank you for the day of impartation. We thank you as you move in the midst of your people to bring us to the greatest times that we've ever seen since the foundation of the world. Thank you, Lord, that for this time and for this season, you've allowed us to be a part of your move in the face of the earth. I thank you, God, for the revolution that you're bringing forth, God, even in the midst of the earth right now. And I thank you for the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing in this hour, because in the last days, saith God, you said you would pour out your spirit on all flesh. And so now we thank you for the pouring out. God, I thank you for the rain and the move of your spirit. I thank you for fresh oil. I thank you for new wine. I thank you for the new thing that you're doing. I thank you now that it does spring forth. I thank you, Lord, that you've called us to be the head and not the tail. You've called us to be above only and not beneath. You've called us to be the lender and not the borrower. You've called, God, that our storehouses would be full and increase. God, I thank you because even I decree and declare that the people under the sound of my voice, even now, are moving in the might of your strength. Not by might nor by power, but by your spirit. I thank you for those that are the sons and daughters of God that are called because they walk not after the flesh, but after your spirit. I thank you for the rising up of the people of your kingdom. I thank you that your kingdom come. I thank you that your will be done, even now in earth as it is in heaven. I thank you, Lord, because you are moving in the midst of your people mightily as never before. Raise us up, oh God, to the standard of what you've called us to be. God, I thank you for the standard of greatness. I thank you for the standard of holiness. I thank you for the standard of moving as the sons and daughters of yours, and not as vagabonds, not as those that never knew you, not as those that are confused and confounded, but God, those that know who they are in you. I thank you for the knowing. I thank you, God, for knowing you. I thank you for knowing your presence. Thank you for knowing your Holy Ghost power that gives us the ability to be successful. Your anointing that gives us the power to rise up and be called blessed. Thank you for that is in us. Thank you, God, for all things that pertain to life and godliness. Thank you because we are not confused. We are not deceived. And we thank you for that clarity of mind and the clarity of vision that allows us to walk forth as kings and queens, as princes and princesses in the kingdom that walk in the earth. We thank you that we are your beloved, and we rise up as the apple of your eye. We rise up, oh God, as those that you love with all of your heart. And God, we love you back. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for soundness of spirit. I thank you that healing is our bread. Healing is our deliverance. By the stripes of Jesus, we're already healed. And we speak forth that healing even now for those that need it. Thank you, God, for every stripe that was taken. Thank you for the bruising. Thank you that he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. God, with those same stripes we declare and we speak healing in Jesus' name. We give you glory. We give you peace. We give you honor. We give you blessing. We give you might. We ascribe all of these things unto you because they are yours. Thank you. The fruit of my lips giving thanks unto your name. Ever giving you all that is yours. Glory, honor, power, dominion, majesty. It's yours. I decree it and I speak it In the mighty name of Jesus, it is so. Amen and amen.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to welcome you to today's edition of Yes You O Cube. It's one-on-one, just me and you. We're having a conversation on this morning, on this Thursday. Can you believe that the week is almost gone? Thursday, March the 25th in the year 2021. And we are here with you on this fine day to have a good chat with you and enjoy your presence and enjoy your conversation as we talk about a few things. Is that all right? Yes, we got a vision, we got a mission, we got somewhere we're going to go on today, and y'all hop on in and let's get there together. Is that all right? I want to say, as we always like to do when we crank this up, I want to say congratulations to the winner of Grandpa Holmes's chair. And you know, today that just happened to be one of my regulars that got back in the chair for the first time in a few days, none other than the Rebel Inc. You are the winner of Grandpa Holmes's chair. Yes, you are, girl. Yes, you are. Yes, I just want to appreciate you. I just want to appreciate you, because I mean to tell you, you got your hips in that chair and slid right on up in there. You slid right on up in that chair. And I'm so glad you joined me on today. So I appreciate you all. Now, as I said, Grandpa Holmes's chair, I'm going to go around and start my winners again. I've got my gifts and things ready to ship out to you. I've also got t-shirts that are going to be coming on the way. The Rebel Inc. is making me t-shirts. And so we're going to be giving away some of those for Grandpa Holmes's chair winners as well. Again, I encourage you. Unfortunately, YouTube, Facebook, Patreon, they're a little slower to catch up. Usually if you're in Twitch, you have a much higher likelihood of getting your hips in Grandpa Holmes's chair. But we'll be getting those gifts out to you. I want to appreciate the gifts that were given and provided at the courtesy and love of Royal Confessions. I want to appreciate her for that. So you all start looking out, and I may shoot you a whisper or something to get your addresses so I can get the information to be able to get these gifts to you for winning Grandpa Holmes's chair. Now, that being said, y'all know how we do. We get those coffee cups out. We get those coffee cups out and we get ready to have this conversation. So I want to say good morning, Rebel Inc. Good morning, SK8843. Good morning, Monica L. Smith. Nobody puts baby in the corner. Good morning, Jams JJ. Good morning, Beat Teeth Deep Mom. Good morning. I see 23 in the house this morning. 23 in the house. Hey, 23 in the house. Yes, 23 is in the house this morning. And I appreciate you for dropping in and seeing about us this morning. Now you all hear that jing, ring-a-ling, and ting-a-ling. Yes, those are people that are liking and sharing the podcast. And I want to appreciate and let you all know for sure, those of you that are liking the stream, those of you that are sharing the stream, it's doing just what it's supposed to do out there in that algorithm, because it's bringing the people in. So I appreciate those of you that have liked, will share, and I want you to know I appreciate you. I really, really do. So at the end of the day, we're going somewhere. We got something to do, places to go, people to see, things to talk about and chat about. That's what we're doing up in here. So as we get ready to get this crack-a-lackin', let's get our music going, that's always provided to us by King Coogee. Yeah, that's my sire. King Coogee has provided the music for us, those that enjoy the entry music while you're out there waiting for us to come on live. That is provided by King Coogee, as well as the music that you hear while we chit-chat through the hours. Now, I think I'm gonna let you all let me know if the volumes levels are good for you. You can hear me, you can hear the music, and if you're ready, we're gonna get crack-a-lackin' up in here. Yes, we are. Now, you know, I tell you what, there's a lot of energy I got coming at me today. I tell you, I just feel all kinds of things down in my shondo. I feel it down in my shondo. We gonna have some good conversation up in here today. Now, as we get ready to talk about what happened while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. While we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. You know, I have to start with the weather because I think that's going to be a major story today. Because as I started looking at the news around 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock, they are actually broadcasting that they expect that there's going to be possible tornadoes all over the place, tornadic weather here, there, and everywhere. I know they're saying we're going to have a tremendous abundance of rain here by the end of the day into the night. So they're forecasting all kinds of weather on today. And something in me said, rain, rain, go away, come again another day. And the weather said, this might be a sound effects morning, y'all. This just might be a sound effects morning. The weather said, no, I'm here and I'm getting ready to cut up. And y'all just gonna have to deal with it. Good morning, Teresa Jones. It's good to see you in the house on this fine day. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Now, as we get ready to talk about what happened while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much for subscribing to the stream. I appreciate you so much. Now, y'all know my eyes are getting a little bad, so I have to let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. BTD Mom has subscribed. I appreciate you for that's a resub. Thank you so much for doing that on today. Now, let's get it crack-a-lackin'. Let's talk about a few things while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. And there's been a lot going on this morning, so where do we want to begin? Let's talk about that AstraZeneca. They had to come and roll it back a little bit. They had to come and roll that beautiful bean footage back because they came out saying they were at 79% against disease, and somebody slapped their hands and said, no, you're not. Y'all better get those numbers right. So they had to come back and retract and say, no, we're not at 79%, but we are actually more like 76. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, as we get these people vaccinated, and as Dr. Fauci said, Dr. Fauci, they need to give that man a raise. If he hasn't received a raise, some kind of recognition or something, because baby, he went through with that last administration. There were some times with that last administration, I know he wanted to pull every strand of hair out his head. I know he wanted to pull every strand of hair out of his head with that last administration. And to have to navigate through one of the worst pandemics of all time, to have to navigate through that, you had to really have a fortitude and stamina to just keep coming out there every day trying to talk to the people. Now, as we're talking about AstraZeneca, yes, they had to roll that thing back. They're only at 76%. And I say only, anything is better than a line of defense than nothing, in my opinion. So, you know, at the end of the day, I hope that those of you that have not been vaccinated, I am fully vaccinated because I got that J&J, that Johnson & Johnson one and done, and I got it flowing through my system. Now, that being said, I also want to address this because they're also talking while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. The numbers are going back up, y'all. The numbers are going back up. For 40 and above, it has soared over 800% on this week. And for the younger people, it's really out of control. So I just want to say to you, please get vaccinated, but please understand vaccination is just your line of defense. The pandemic is not over. It's not OVA. It's not over yet. So we've got to pay attention because I had someone that I have in my friends on yesterday that was saying she has 3 family members that are sick with COVID-19 right now, and one of them is in really bad condition. So she posted asking for prayer for one, but she also posted to bring an awareness to people that are getting foolhardy and getting out here. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a dicey time because we don't know who's vaccinated and who's not. So, you know, you got your little card. You know, if they really been vaccinated, they got their little card. It tells what kind of vaccination they got it, what lot, and all of that. It gives all of that little information on that card. So please hang on to that card. I heard that, I believe it's Office Max, Office Depot, one of those business companies that does like office supplies, they are laminating. I understand that they are laminating your cards for free, is my understanding. Now, before you run up there, because it may not have been Office Max, it might have been somebody else. For y'all run out there, y'all call first and make sure. But they are saying they understand the value that these cards are going to play in our lives in the future. So whatever you do, keep that card on your person when you're out and about. No doubt when you start traveling, as more people are becoming vaccinated, no doubt they're going to start really demanding and relying on that card to see whether or not you've been vaccinated. So at the end of the day, and I don't know how that's going to play out, what happens for people that are still saying, I don't trust it, I'm not going to take it? Will they then be banned and barred from doing certain things and having certain movements around in the community? I don't know. How will they do that? Because I guess it's still your right to decline and say, no, I do not want to be vaccinated. So I'm sure those are some things that we still need to figure out. But I'm saying it for your welfare and your safekeeping, because you don't know if Joe Blow sitting next to you is going to blow his dirty breath on you with all kinds of virus and disease floating in his droplets. So, you know, you need to pay attention and take care of yourselves, and don't just assume that because you've been vaccinated, you're good to go. Surely we hope the vaccine is going to keep you from dying and hopefully contracting the illness, but it's not 100% nothing. So please take care of yourselves. So what does that mean? Put that mask on. I started to put I got a face guard that I got when I was out in LA. And as I started walking around in LA, and especially since I've been back here in the city, every place I've worn it, people want, where did you get that at? I want one. I really should have been wise and went on down there to the garment district and bought some extras and brought them on back and sold them to folk. But you're going to see me in my mask. You're going to see me in my face shield, and I started to put it on today and say, this is the way you all are going to see me for the next year. You're going to have to see my face through the shield, because you shall not breathe on me. So I just want to bring that to your attention. Continue to wear the face mask. Continue to wear whatever face shield and protection you can have for yourself. Double mask if you have to. Continue to wash those dirty hands. Yes, I talked about it on yesterday, so I'm not going to stop right there. I'm going to keep it moving. But wash your nasty hands. Wash them paws. And also, social distancing. That is very, very significant, and it's something that you need to do. You need to keep, come on, SK, I know that's right. You got to keep the social distancing because I want you well. I want to get up in the morning and say, good morning, whoever you are. Good morning, whoever you are. And good morning, whoever you are. Get your coffee cups out. You know how we do it over here. No cream, no sugar, because we take our coffee strong and black. Because I'm going to tell it like it T-I-Z-T-is. And I want you in that conversation with me, all right? Please do it. Please do it. Now, as we move on, oh my goodness, we see that as we are dealing with the heartbreak of those who'd have thought we could walk in the store and bank with a mask without having the police called, baby, having the popo right there at your doorstep. Like, BTD mom, where do you think you going in to get up like that? Now, that being said, I have to say, what do y'all think the bank? Well, you know what, a lot of the banks you can't get in anyway. I know I went to my bank the other week, and baby, the other week, and you just as well, that officer standing at the door outside directed me to the automated teller or the ATM, but you wasn't getting in. Your hips were not walking in that door. So, you know, you have to kind of wonder, BTD mom, as you make that comment, who would have thought that there'd be a day that we could go in with a mask and a shield and get service at a bank? And maybe that's why they done locked us out. I don't know. However, it is something to think about. Now, we are definitely mourning with those people in Colorado as they've started to memorialize some of those that were killed in the shootout on the other day. And our hearts go out to them, our love goes out to them. And I read an article, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, that said Coloradans are basically wondering to themselves, what have we done that we've become one of the main spots for multiple murders and all of this kind of terrorism in the house? What have we done? Because if you understand, you had Parkland, you had what happened the other day, and Columbine, all of those little areas are, like they said, less than 35 miles away from each other. Now that's huge to have a 35-mile radius that has had 3 separate mass shooting incidents in such a short span of time. And you start thinking about all of the lives that are impacted by that. Your heart just has to go out to them and feel some kind of way for them having to, deal with this. At the same time, we got to deal with whether it's mental illness or whether it's militia that have gone crazy and gone berserk, trying to get their name and their 15 minutes of fame. Who knows what it is? It's all mentally ill people. At the end of the day, racism is a mental illness as far as I'm concerned, and it makes folks sick, mentally ill. So at the end of the day, when you start getting into these kinds of situations and just such a close area that's been impacted so heavily, your heart just has to go out to them and just send them all kinds of love and all kinds of energy. And we already touched yesterday then on the conversation, we need to have some more controls on these guns. So then while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, it was reported to me, and some of you may see this morning when you came in, Atlanta police were called to another grocery store in Atlanta, where somebody happened to see this young man come in with a long rifle and went straight to the bathroom, and he had on body armor. And so he alerted the people in the grocery store. They alerted the police. The police descended on him as he was coming out of the bathroom. And when they apprehended him, he had 2 long rifles and 5 guns. 5 handguns, 2 long rifles and 5 handguns. And it just makes you say, okay, so is this the new terrorism that some of these racist groups and leftist groups are I shouldn't say leftist groups, but terrorist groups are putting together? Yes, 2 long rifles, 2 BTD mom, 2 long rifles and 5 pistols, 5 handguns. And you just have to wonder, what's your intent? Number one, you come in body armor. We kind of have an idea what your intent is. And number two, are we going to have the age and the time now that you walk in the grocery store and you got to go through the metal detectors? And I mean, it's just amazing. All because we will not tell the gun lobbyists and the NRA no. All because we will not tell people that are over the top with the Second Amendment right. I have the right to bear arms. And again, I'm going to tell you all and invite you to my Facebook page if you have not gone out there and read it. I saw a couple of you actually read it and liked it on yesterday. If you have not gone out there and read my post, that is Heather Cox Richardson accurate account of what the Second Amendment really is about, when it got convoluted during the Reagan era, and how it has now expanded to sheer insanity in folks that want to cry and spit and scream, it's my Second Amendment right. It's been convoluted and perverted, and because we will not shut this madness down, who knows? They'll pay millions of dollars at whose expense at the end of the day, it's going to come back to the end users. It's going to come back to the citizens that are going to have to pay the difference. If these stores have to start putting in all kinds of devices and this and that and the other before you can come in the store and shop, you can rest assured that cost is going to be passed on to the purchasers. So rather than deal with these NRA nuts and gun people that are just off their rockers and refuse to have any kind of regulation on these guns, AR-15, AR-15, AR-15. I put that post up in Not Afraid to Speak. Almost every single one of the mass shootings that have been committed in recent years have all been forms of AR-15s. So, you know, who are you going hunting with the AR-15? And I'm talking about hunting animals. Y'all hunting people. You all are hunting humans. And so at the end of the day, why is this even in your hands? Why is it available to be in your possession? We got to stand up and start talking and saying this makes no sense. But thanks be to God, whoever saw this young man coming, and I think I want to say the young man was 22. They didn't give any information about him, just like usual. They didn't give any information about him. We know he's 22. I think it is. It's either 20 or 22. I think it's 22. And what's getting in these young white brothers' minds that they just all of a sudden come in with this mentality? How many folks can I take out in one a roll of the ball? You know, how many folks can I take out with how many magazines and clips? It's insanity, y'all. It's insanity. So thanks be to God again. While we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, Atlanta was spared what appears to be an attempted massacre, but they got that brother. Now that speaks to something. If you see something that looks peculiar and suspicious, speak up, y'all. Don't be talking about, I don't want to say something. And listen, in these days and times, I'm going to tell you, err on the side of caution, because we don't know what's in the hearts and minds of these people. So at the end of the day, don't do what did I say yesterday? We were talking about even in our community, this whole idea, snitches get stitches. Snitch, I don't care. Tell somebody. If something's going down and you see people that are doing and operating in inappropriate behavior or about to do so or have already done so, open your mouth and say something. If you see something, say something. So I also want to give kudos. I really want to stop and just, can we just go ahead and give a hurrah and a crowd cheer for whoever it was saw this brother and turned him in. Yeah, because I genuinely believe he or she saved a whole bunch of lives by turning them in. And I'm so glad that they did. I'm so glad that they did. Now, as we go on, while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, they are now with that yesterday and the 2 long rifles and the 5 handguns that this brother, this joker got caught with in the grocery store. What is that? The new thing? Let's go to the grocery store, see how many people we can kill up. They are now coming out, as if we didn't already know. Radicalized Christian nationalism is one of the biggest threats facing the U.S. Christian leaders, and they got to deal with extremism in their community. Now, listen, let me say this. That extremism in this radicalized Christian mindset is homegrown. Yes, we grew it. We've been growing it ever since we had preachers coming to the plantation to preach to the black folks and preach them submission and slavery mindset, and then going and propagating this idea that we, because we are white and bright, are the chosen people. And then we see, look at all of these extremist groups. Every last one of them come out with religious jargon. The KKK, the Proud Boys. I mean, go down the line and listen to them. They always want to get into this high, heavy rhetoric of religion. Jesus, we're the ones. We have all of these high and lofty goals and ideas. We're against loss of life. We're against abortion. We're against, because we're pro-life, when really you are the ones that left folk hanging from the tree, but you're pro-life. You were the one that maimed, and I watched, oh my God, Cameron, I can't think of his last name, but I watched it on yesterday. Brother Cameron was a young man who they were going to lynch, and they had already lynched 2 of his friends. I cannot think of that man's name, but it was an awesome documentary if you all get a chance to go out there and watch it. And he devoted his whole entire life to speaking out against racism and organizing NAACP chapters and everything else. But this man talks about how as they were marching him out and dragging him with the noose around his neck, and the people just going mad like rabid dogs, and even how they were taking souvenirs off of his 2 friends while they were hanging there, and they were trying to lift him. Matter of fact, one of his companions, he was holding the rope with his hands, and they let him down, broke his arms to pieces, and then hung him back up, lynched him back up so he couldn't use his hands to hold. I mean, these are the types of people that we're talking about. You want to run around and talk about we love God, we're God's people, and everything is Jesus, 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 but you're killing people. Lord have mercy is right. When he told that story, and he lived to be 92, I think he died in 2002, 2005, somewhere thereabout, and I just ran on that documentary last night. To hear his fear, and he said, I prayed and I asked the Lord, I was like, Lord, he said, forgive me of all my sins. That brother got to repenting and praying. And he said he heard as they were trying to string him up on that tree, he heard the voice of God say, I'm going to give you another chance. And he said, and he cannot tell you why. And the people, and they interviewed many of the white people. As a matter of fact, I had to give kudos to one of the white brothers that was there, because when he came back to his town, he was weeping and crying, and brought him to his church. When Brother Cameron came back to that town, the white brother, that was also one of the family members of the person that they were stringing them up for, that this young man really did not, he ran and fled the scene from his friends when he saw his friends were going to get in some devilment, but they came and got him thinking he was involved in it. Nonetheless, his family members, the white family members, when he came back to town, they asked him, please come to our church. And I saw that man was just weeping and crying, face was red, I mean real for real tears, asking for forgiveness for what they had done to the other 2. So that's when you know that something's really going on. All of this other, the KKK, the Proud Boys, all the good old boys in the good old boy system. Y'all can talk about Jesus till you come home, but I'm not listening and I'm not buying what you're selling. And we finally, oh my goodness, we finally are getting people to say, and this is in the Business Insider, y'all. This is in the business. So this is, I'm gonna segue here just for a second, in a second. But businesses are starting to say, thank you for the host, BTD Mom. They're starting to identify, listen, folk, we need to pay attention to these radicalized Christians because they are truly public enemy number 1. Can we finally get an amen? Can we finally get an amen? Now, as they're posting this, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do about it, because listen, people are going to be living, let the church say amen. Folks are going to be leaving by the droves. And this is something that they have to identify and pay attention to. And I'm going to bring in this change of religion just as a slip in here. And I'm going to segue on to where I'm going. But even I saw one of the Catholic priests was beginning to talk about when we come back after COVID-19, everything's going to be different. So when we go to these evangelical radicalized folk, honey, it's going to look different. When we go to the Catholic Church, it's going to look different. Thank you for liking the stream, Teresa Jones. When we come back to all of these things, because listen, this is what the Catholic preacher said. The priest said, and I really hadn't even thought about it from this standpoint. He said that Pope Francis said, y'all can't get out to confessions. So I want you to understand, you don't have to go to the confessional to confess your sins. You can do it at home. Oh my goodness. Now y'all know that's huge for the Catholic Church. Huge for the Catholic Church. when Pope Francis says you can repent and confess at home. So then you have to wonder, when we come out of sheltering at home, what's the Catholic Church going to look like? I surely want to look at what's the Black church going to look like when we come out of sheltering at home. Because, baby, a whole lot of folk died in that first go-round because we had faith. No plague shall come nigh my dwelling, and we still gonna have church. And at the end of the day, after we get done having church, we done buried half the presidium. We done buried half the people that are affiliated and associated with the denomination that came to the church service. And so you have to wonder, what's gonna happen to the folks when we come back out? And truly, truly, for the radicalized evangelicals that have really just gone to a whole nother Ata Bata Kaka Baba Lala Tana Banda, angels from Africa, angels from South America. Baby, you have to wonder, is the steeple gonna be empty? Is the steeple gonna be empty? Birds just roosting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm trying to see who appreciate you for the light. When we get done and all is finished, what is it going to look like? Thank you for the share. What is it going to look like? Because people are waking up. Hear me when I say it. Folks are waking up. Now, at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with somebody, well, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. But this is what we've learned in this last year. Even if you don't assemble, you can still have a relationship with God. And for those that have been used in that mindset, or I want to say roped into that mindset, I got to go to the four walls of a building or else I can't be right. We learned something on 2020, didn't you? I didn't have that mindset, but if you had that mindset, you learned something in 2020. So I heard the priest when he said, what's this gonna look like when we get done? I'm saying that just to connect back to this idea that these radicalized Christians, a lot of these groups and a lot of these organizations, because you know why? They were stupid. Y'all used that word the other day, and I'm gonna say this from the standpoint of what Sydney said about y'all. This is what Sydney said. And she's still screaming, hollering, and crying. Anybody that believed my outlandish statements and accusations, they're stupid. Good morning, Royal Confessions. Anybody that believed all of that, they're stupid. Now, that's what she basically said. And that's what they're using for defense. I've never known stupidity to be in a defense, but that's what she's saying. And she's talking about Trump's base because they're the ones that believed it. Woo! So at the end of the day, you have just called your base stupid. Now, what has egged them on is that they continue to propagate this big lie that Trump actually won this by a landslide, and Biden and all of Dominion voting and everybody else that helped in this conspiracy to put his hips in the chair, that ain't really what happened. So, all of this outlandish talk and all of these people still believed it. Good morning, Jonna CPW. So at the end of the day, they're now having to crumble under the legality of lawsuits being filed. So they're having to crumble and tell the truth. Now, I'm still a little upset and peeved by those in the House and the Senate on the Republican side that continue to act as if that's the truth with all of this reform. Because listen, this whole reform deal is a joke. That's all a joke. So we've got HR 1 on the floor that hopefully is going to pass, where we're going to have a sweeping reform where we will have protection of our rights in the voting arena. Because right now, while we are slumbering, sleeping, and slobbering, we've got the Republicans in so many states that have launched all kind of voter suppression within the states trying to shut it down. And I'm gonna say, just like Schumer said, in days gone by, if we weren't gonna be so dastardly, I'm telling y'all, it's just dastardly. Where's my dastard? Come on, Dick Dastardly, where you at? If it just wasn't so dastardly, then if you would do like other people did back in the day, what you would do is this: go out and win the votes of the people that you didn't get the last go around. But don't try to rig it. Don't try to fix it so that folks can't vote. Oh my God, I hope and pray that our Democratic brothers, and again, I'm not trying to be partisan here, but at this point, it's almost like the Republicans that lost their mind. They done lost their whole mind. So it's like, at the end of the day, we've at least got one party that's talking sensibly, that says the people have a right to vote and they need to be able. We're talking about, we want hours that you can come and vote from the other side. We want days that you can come and vote. And then for anybody that sleep on this, DeJoy is still dismantling the post office. Y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. He's trying to change the hours. He's trying to say we want to slow the rate of delivery down. Who wants to slow the rate of delivery down? Now, who in charge of a company or organization, rather, that's what you do is deliver? Who says this is our prime purpose? Is to deliver mail, and you say we want to slow that delivery down. What kind of sense does that make, DeJoy? Because what he's really saying and what he's really preparing for is for the elections that come up so that they can drag their feet. They've already taken out all kind of equipment, and he plans to take out more equipment. And then on top of all of that, raise the price. Who's gonna pay more for less? Who's gonna pay more for less? And at the end of the day, we're going to do exactly what they want to do and move away from the U.S. Postal Service as we know it. And we want to move it over to privatized delivery services so that individuals and corporations are making the money. Let's break this thing down and call a spade a spade. Call it is what it is. Y'all want to get this money into individuals' hands, individual corporations, like you've privatized everything else, including the jails, including education is what you're trying to work on right now. Y'all want individuals to be able to own all of this so that they can get their pockets fatter and fatter. Thank you for the follow, Derpy Crinkle. You all want to get all of this done so that the rich can get richer and the poor can get poor. And at the end of the day, our vote cannot get counted because it can't get there. Is anybody paying attention, Lord Jesus, to what's going on? Is anybody paying attention to what's going on? Because at the end of the day, I really am hopeful that we're going to be able to see this pass. And why do I want it to pass? Because it gives everybody the ability and the right to vote without all of these other things built into it. And it will also stop gerrymandering. Now, let me explain gerrymandering to anybody that may not know what gerrymandering is. Gerrymandering is a tool that is used by the Republican Party where they redraw districting lines so that the districts guarantee them a win of the candidate that they want by how the lines are drawn. Now, at the end of the day, gerrymandering was wrong from the beginning, and it's still wrong. And you know, a lot of this stuff has its roots in slavery and what they did to maneuver and try to get the power that they wanted. That's why black folks who were originally called and considered nothing more than chattel and animals, that's why we got to be 3/5 of a person. Not because they wanted to acknowledge our humanity. They needed that 3/5 of a person so they could count your body for a vote. So all of these different tactics that have been initiated from a place of total and utter racism and ugliness, we now have an opportunity to put this stuff down, strike it down, because it needs to go. It needs to have been gone, but here we are, it's today, and it's happening. We talked about it. It's happening. So I want you all to pay attention, whether we talk about the voting issues, whether we're talking about what needs to happen. Come on with that. Minority rule equals apartheid, and we will not accept it. We will not accept it. So listen, Mitch, take your little cronies and go someplace and sit down in the corner with your crumbs, because we're not going to have it. We're not going to sit by. We're not going to stand by and just let it happen, because at the end of the day, everybody has a right to vote. Everybody has a voice, and everybody should be entitled without going through suppression and oppression. everybody should be entitled to their one vote. And that's what I got to say about that. So they're still struggling on that. They're still fighting on it. They're still trying to get everything on that together. So come on. I hope that they're going to keep their nose to the plow and just keep on keeping on until they get it done. Now, I'm going to go here for a second. There is a story about a young black girl, and I was trying to see where she is, but I'll tell you the story and y'all can look it up later. A young black 8-year-old girl that was accosted, beat, and sexually assaulted by this man. I want to say it happened in 2019, who the judge has now said that she has determined that he's not mentally stable now, nor will he be mentally stable anytime in the future. And so she's dismissing the charges against this man and this little black 8-year-old girl that was accosted, beat, and sexually assaulted by him. You know where I'm going. I got to throw shade. And y'all know I don't just throw shade, I shed light. This man who has several... Listen, you heard what I said, Rebel. The judge... And see, I told y'all. Could it be? Could it be? The devil? Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. Now listen, beloved. 8 years old. This little black baby will never be the same again. And you all apprehend him, put him in custody, let him go on bond. Then at the end of the day, when we finally get before the judge, you want to tell me that you don't feel like he's in his right mind and will not be in his right mind anytime in the near future. And so you dismiss charges? Oh, I'm gonna do it again. Could it be? Could it be? The devil? That ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. We want justice for our babies. We want justice. This will not stand. Do you understand me? And this is what I was saying when I was bemoaning the reality that Trump and McConnell and their motto for the Republican Party in all of the different states, whether it was at the state level, at any level, and definitely we saw them do it at the federal level, fill every seat. What was the fill every seat concept? Every empty seat in the judiciary where judges were not seated, they tried to fill every last one of those positions. And so at the end of the day, listen, there's no rhyme or reason to it, SK 8843, other than that it's just dastardly. It's just dastardly. And then you want to come back to people of color and ask, why do we keep talking about racism? Why? Because if that was a white little 8-year-old child, whew. And so as I say to those non-racist white people that might be listening to me today, they're still treating us like we're animals. And we need action. And I'm at the point now where I start putting the ball. Don't put me in a room and have a caucus and a conversation to the black people. How can we change racism and these dastardly deeds that you're doing? This is your problem. You figure out how to fix it. But at the end of the day, could it be? Could it be? The devil. And the judge needs to go. Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. What are you saying to my black daughter? What are you saying to my black sister? What are you saying to my black niece? What are you saying to my black granddaughter? What are you saying to my future aunt, my future? What you are saying is you do not matter. Oh, it's dastardly. It's dastardly. Listen, when I read that foolishness, and for whatever reason, this has been allowed, I feel like everybody and their mama from every direction, they ought to be crying and screaming bloody murder until they make that judge come right and come correct, because that's messed up. And we're tired. Understand, we are tired of society continuing to sleep and snooze while black bodies, Asian bodies, other minority bodies are being abused, maimed, and killed, while those in authority sit idly by and twiddle their thumbs and do and say nothing. Oh, I thought I was going to be calm today, but something about that 8 years old. While we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, and people are still literally and figuratively slumbering, sleeping, and slobbering. I said sleeping and slobbering. I'm so mad I can't get my words right. And yes, for everybody that ran out of the room while I was telling the truth, listen, you better be ready for this podcast, because we take this coffee, no cream, no sugar, because we take it strong and black, because I tell it like it T-I-Z-Tiz. It's dastardly. And so our 8-year-old baby has to carry this scar. The community and the village that this baby belongs to has to deal with this injustice. And we talked about it yesterday, even with Greenwood, the Tulsa riots, and Black Wall Street. How we bend over and bend over backwards at every turn to become welcoming and open. And we get the screws put to us every time. And I'm saying at this point, we need to just go ahead and full speed ahead, full steam ahead. Listen, we got to protect the village. And y'all know I don't advocate violence. That's not where I'm coming from in any way, shape, or form. But we need to hold somebody's feet, seat, and everything else accountable to this kind of judging on the bench. This cannot stand. It just cannot. It cannot. We've got to come to a place where just say no is not you coming out into the black community talking about drugs, but just say no is to the apartheid and racism behavior that you have in this country. No. We've had enough. Good Lord, we've had enough. You know, you see those kinds of things, and when you think you're making progress, then you got judges on the bench that pull stunts like that. That's why McConnell and Trump said, fill every seat. And that's what I was trying to say. When it gets down to it, it doesn't matter this, that, or the other. If you stand before the judge and the judge starts judging with unrighteous judgment. And that's exactly what this was. You can't fix it. You can't try no other way to explain it. It's just dastardly. Oh, Lord, today, help us, God. And that's what we got to deal with. And that's why, if you all remember, y'all can go back and pull the video up when Mitch McConnell's standing there laughing and smiling and smirking with that ugly smirk on his face, talking about it's going to take him a long time to turn that back around. And you knew who that was said to your racist base that wants to see this kind of dastardly, I can't get dastardly off of there, this dastardly behavior perpetuated. I mean, help us, Lord. Come on, Monica. I mean, that's why I'm telling you, we don't have no more, SK. We can't abide. I've had all I can stand till I can't stand no more. We're tired. And this is what I want us to continue to echo to our law enforcement and police officers and this whole system. You want to repeatedly say you fear for your lives. You have white people out here stalking black bodies saying they fear for their lives. And we literally fear for our lives. We don't know where the car stop's gonna end up. Am I gonna be alive? Am I gonna be dead? We don't know if we can go to the grocery store. We don't know if we can go to Bible study on Wednesday night, and if somebody's gonna come in Bible study and kill 9 of us graveyard dead, and then y'all come in, put him in body armor, and take him to get a Whopper. We don't know if we can go to a concert and 58 of us be mowed down. We don't know if we can go to a synagogue and somebody shoot a bunch of people all the way inside the sanctuary on out into the parking lot, just mowing, just because I'm a Jewish individual in this country. We don't know if because I am of Asian descent, and I have to stop here because some of our black community, y'all just as racist against the Asian community as everybody else. So if we catch ourselves with those shoes on our feet, stop it. Stop it. Everybody stop it. If you're out there using racist names, if you're out there saying racist things, and I read one article and it really, really melted my heart. Because, you know, I had some issue about going in the black community and being treated in stores like I'm a criminal. But at the same time, we need to come together and have some conversation and shut all of that down. But at the end of the day, anybody that's operating in any level of racism, any level of hatred, stop it. I read the story and the lady was talking about how she had established her business and the business was doing well. She was not one of those that when you came in, she was mistreating people, black people. Let me just make it plain. I ain't gonna go to people of color. Black people. She was not mistreating black people. Totally different kind of business. And how the situation went down with her. It was not black people. It was white people. But nonetheless, because she said, but I was born in this country. When will people stop looking at Asian Americans and deny us the fact that we were, many of us, born in this country? Ain't that the same thing black folks were saying? Isn't that the same thing black folks been saying? Would we then turn around and perpetuate this same kind of behavior against our brother and our sisters? We need to get together, have a conversation, and get an understanding so that we can live and flow together by all means, but not from a place of racism, not from a place of hatred, not from a place of calling people out of their names and tearing up their businesses. Because listen, at the end of the day, you know, if you were the one that had built that business, blood, sweat, and tears with everything you had, and whoever came in and destroyed your life's work, you would be devastated. We gotta care whether it's us or not. So I appreciate SK8843 and some of you others started posting out there. I stand with my AAPI brothers and sisters. I stand with them unequivocally. I stand with them because I'm surely not going to be a person of color that has come from the oppression and then turn around and be an oppressor. I'm just not going to do it. Woo. That baby. That's all I could see was that baby. That 8-year-old baby. And I hope that there's a whole lot more conversation that's going to grow and roll around that. Because that, at the end of the day, is unacceptable. So I saw the little grandmother, the Asian grandmother, and said all of this was running together in the articles because this is what we're reading while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. This is what is being posted about as we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. This is what the media is addressing while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, because all this stuff is going on simultaneously. And then again, we have a brother that, thank God, was apprehended in Atlanta with 2 long guns and 5 handguns. Who knows who and what he meant to kill and mow down. But we got to stop it. We got to stop it. And we got to say enough is enough and too much is too much. Which then also takes us to at what's in while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered. Folks are giving Biden heat about what's going on at the border because the babies are coming in by the droves. I listened to one man give his interview, and he was saying his city, where the little town where he lived, was so ruthless and deadly. He and his family got up and got out of there, got all the way up to the border, and then got taken back. The kids were able to go through, but they sent him to wherever, and he's hoping. The rest of them are saying they're gonna go back home, but he said, when I get a chance, I'm gonna try it again. He said, because there's gotta be life better than this. And then you got folks out there from the other party talking about, that's who's bringing COVID into this country. Come on, y'all. That's who's bringing. Could it be those of you who refuse to wear a mask? Could it be those of you who refuse to keep your hips at home? Could it be? Could it be? We'll find anybody and anything to blame instead of dealing with the reality of the truth. And then I'm looking at Ted, and you want to do all of this big talk about the border. But who was running for the border when your state didn't have any electricity? When your state didn't have any utilities? Who was running for the same border that you want to talk nasty about and talk about what they bringing into the country? Who was running for their border? Could it be? Could it be? The devil? Sit down, Ted. Sit down. Oh my goodness. Have a seat. So, as we look at all of this that's going on while we slumbered, slept, and slobbered, Cancun cruise. Oh, SK, I got to unshade on that because that's great. Cancun cruise. Trying to go on a cruise when your people are suffering. What kind of leadership is that? Just sheer cowardice. I know Jonna CPW. She is the cracks. Cancun cruise. And you got nerve to open your mouth and talk and besmirk and talk about negatively and degrade and tear down these people when that's where your hips ran to when your folks didn't have any utilities. Because y'all didn't do right. All righty then. Y'all ain't ready for me this morning. So as we go, now I'm gonna say this, Kansas City, yesterday, day before, if you see people all of a sudden going up to what is that little town up in North Kansas City? I want to say it's not Platte. What is that? Right across the river on 9 Highway. Somebody help me remember what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm going to close with this, and we're going to shift on over to our word of the day, because I want to talk about that for a minute. I want to give it some good time because I want to get some input this morning. Now, they have opened up a dispensary here, and the Saints, when the Saints go marching in, somebody said, I want to be in that number when the Saints go marching in. They are opening the dispensary, and it's full open, and they had the people coming in. They said they don't have bartenders, they have bud tenders, B-U-D. They have bud tenders. And they have it set up. They showed it on the news. I was cracking up this morning because I said, listen, everybody and their mama gonna be up there today, tomorrow, before the weekend is over. Johnny PCW, bye, Ted. I didn't see that. I just saw it. Anyway, back to my story about the dispensary open here locally. And some of y'all might have dispensaries already open where you are. But we got the first legal one that's open here. And baby, they were lined up and ready. They had the camera crews there. They were showing all the setup, how they come in. They sit you down so that you're socially distanced. They only talk to one person at a time. So you go in and they find out all your ailments and everything that's going on with you. And you see the bud tender, not the bartender, but the bud tender. Y'all heard my song that I chose for this one, When the Saints Go Marching In. Cause I got a feeling it's gonna be a whole lot of saints marching into that dispensary. Oh, I watched that, and it was so funny because I started flipping channels, and the funniest thing to me was that every channel was going up there doing an interview because they know they getting ready to get some money. Up there with the bud tender. So now you got the bartender and you got the bud tender. So let the good times roll. And I'm being facetious and I'm being funny. But really, we have opened our first dispensary here. And so we know many things are getting ready to jump off. And I'm just gonna sit back and watch. And I'm gonna take that and segue. Now, don't nobody get on here and get confessing. I got royal confessions out there. Y'all don't get on here and get confessing. Don't get on here and get to confessing. You keep that between you and whoever. And really, I am still being facetious to some extent because it's all good. I ain't getting ready to take nobody to the cleaners over that. I thought that was funny. I wanted to get a little levity in there before I moved on. Uh-oh. Monica, I said we got royal confessions on here, but we Royal Confessions, there she is. She said, Royal Confessions said she takes confessions 24 hours a day, 24/7, 365. She will hear your confession. Oh my goodness. Now I'm gonna close with this because I'm gonna go into some other areas here, but I want to talk about businesses and boycotting, and that's gonna be my last thing that I want to talk about. Yes, go on my page. I reposted Heather Cox Richardson. And she really breaks down a lot about the Proud Boys. While we slumbered, slept, and slobbered on last night, the Proud Boys, in their state of being investigated for the January 6th insurrection, they're now coming forward with the truth that they were in a collaboration amongst themselves. They had talked, they had started to organize, and they truly felt like they were responding to the orders that the commander commander-in-chief had given them in their little militia and militias. That's a very interesting story. I'm not going to get caught up and tied up in that right now because I want to get to some other things. So if you go out on my page, look for Heather Cock Richardson. She gives that breakdown and rundown of what's going on in the courts with those people in the militia and the extremist group, and how they're basically acknowledging, yes, we were organizing and we thought we were organizing with the blessings and the directive of President Trump. So just pay attention to that. Now, I want to deal with something, because the last thing I want to talk about, as we're talking about building up our gatherings and our villages, the last thing I want to go to here is I started to play a clip from Martin Luther King's mountaintop speech that he gave on April the 3rd, right before he was killed and murdered on April the 4th. After giving the speech, this is part of the speech that he gave at the historic, the historic Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. But I'm not going to do that. But he is encouraging black people to really begin to, as you know, we had the strike of the garbage collectors in Memphis, and that's what he had gone to Memphis to galvanize that movement and tell them, listen, you may not be out here walking the picket line and you may not be suffering because, listen, they're walking the picket line, they're being spit on, they're being abused, their feet are hurting, they're not getting paid. But this was the beauty of Village, and I just want to touch on this for a second. The beauty of Village was that they stood together with each other. They stood together with each other. And that was how they were able to make it. They stood together and they saw to it. If that black brother with the I am a man, that those signs just, they still get me to this day. I am a man. You got to hold a sign in a country to say I am a man. But nonetheless, King was encouraging them to stick together, but he said, you may not be hurting from what's going on like these garbage collectors are. He said, but you can stand with them, and you know how we can hurt them is to start a boycott. And one of his main, and I'm gonna throw this out here because one of the biggest ones he talked about was Coca-Cola. Now I know y'all out there sipping and tipping and dripping in Coke, but Coke ain't did right from the beginning with black folks. Yes, I said Coca-Cola. And you know, if you gonna ask me, I'm doing away with pop from my world and my life because I'm trying to have a healthier existence. But if you're gonna have the Pepsi challenge between Pepsi and Coke, it's gonna be Pepsi, because Coke ain't doing right. Coke ain't done right from the beginning, and Coke is in it again. But at the end of the day, he encourages them how we can really stand in solidarity and make a difference is to boycott some of these corporations that are repeatedly voting against people of color by where they put their dollars. And that's something we need to pay attention to. Where are the dollars going, and really where are the dollars coming from? When you start talking about, I'm gonna pull up something here that's on my Not Afraid to Speak page. You can go out there and look at it. But I want to encourage us to take this mindset again. I said, if a boycott is where we're not going to shop, let's make a girl cot where we will go. And let's find some of these companies of color, because he told them, he said, listen, take your money out of the bank and put your money here. And I know black banks had a bad rep, because I know some people, I know some situations in my family where black banks got away with black folks' money. We've got to come to a different mindset. We've got to come to another level of, and we can't keep living in the past of what happened. We need to find some reputable, good quality people. He said, get your insurance, find you somebody that's in business, get some black folks out here and give them your dollars. Find some other companies out here that are doing the things that you want to do. And maybe we need to start creating some of these businesses to do some of the things that we want to do. Because when they keep taking dollars to fight against the rights of people of color, We need to pay attention to where they're putting that money. And I'm saying to us, this is one place I'm gonna encourage you. And I'm not getting ready to tell you where to go, where not to go, who to do, who not to do. I want you to start doing research. Now, I've got one because y'all know the fight that we had in Georgia. Georgia is getting tremendous funding from corporations that are funding their initiative to push voter suppression. These are the people that are corporately funding HB 531 and SB 241 and have been doing so since 2018. So somebody went out and put the list together, and I'm so grateful for it. And I want you all, what am I saying? Because I want us to start being conscientious about where we put our dollars, because they just figured we got the money, we can do whatever we want to with this money. But when we close our purses, when we close the pocketbook, when we close the wallet, people pay attention. And I have to say this, I don't know if this isn't some of the reason why I've always said they didn't care about MLK out there marching. They didn't care about a lot of the things that MLK did until he started messing with the money. When they wouldn't ride those buses and they had to let folks back on the bus because they weren't making enough money. When they started boycotting businesses and paying attention to where they spent their money, when they took that approach and it impacted their economic base, then they paid attention. Because you got to hit them where it hurts. Y'all can get out here. You're not going to outgun them. You're not going to out the baby. Every time somebody comes along, and I told you all this the other day, and I saw it on the news several times afterwards, where studies and statistics have shown every time we have a mass shooting and they talk about gun control, the people just go out and buy more guns and buy more ammunition. So at the end of the day, all of those little blips on the radar just makes more money for them. Where we need to, you're not going to outgun them. So at the end of the day, let's hit them where it makes a difference. So this is what I paid attention to when I happened to run across that the other day, and he was talking about the different corporations, and Coca-Cola was at the top of the list. Now on this one, I want y'all to know Coca-Cola is still on the list, and it's 2021. It's 2021 and Coca-Cola is still on the list for all of my Coke drinkers out there. So I'm gonna just break this down, and I'm not trying to, again, I'm not being partisan. I'm not being, as far as a corporation, I'm gonna just read the names. Can I just do that? It's in black and white. So at the end of the day, this is where corporate funding has been coming from for voter suppression in Georgia. AT&T, 99K. Aetna, CVS, and Caremark, they're all one and the same, 43K. Delta Airlines, 41K. Comcast, 40K. Southern Company, 38K. Coca-Cola, 34K. UPS, 34K. Home Depot, 34K. General Motors, 33K. Publix, 29K. United Health, 27K. SunTrust/Truist, 25K. Walmart, 23K. Pfizer, 17K. Allstate, 17K. Anthem/BCBS Georgia, 17K. Anheuser-Busch, 16K. Verizon, 14K. Walgreens, 10K. T-Mobile, 7K. Aflac, 7K. Now, all I did was read their names. But at the end of the day, these are the companies that we're giving our money to, that's taking those same dollars that we're putting in their coffers and taking money to put in voter oppression and voter suppression. That's all I got to say about that. Now you take that for what it's worth, leave it for what it's worth. I got the list out there on Not Afraid to Speak. And this one thing I will tell you what they're doing on Facebook now. Anything that's proven and found to be not true, when they fact check it, they take it down. And I'm not the first person to post it. I hope I'm not the last person to post it. But y'all pay attention to where you're spending your dollars, because these people don't care about you. Is that all right? Am I talking to anybody? Because it's our money that they're using against us. We are a growing population of consumers. We have the power to make a change. And listen, at the end of the day, SK8843, a lot of the dollars that are in these people's coffers come from black people. Bottom line, end of the day, we got a whole lot of money out there in them streets. And I'm gonna tell you what, when I saw some of those names on that list, I said, I got to change my move and change my groove, because you will not get another dollar from me. Not until you do something different. And there you have it. Now, I'm going to stop, and I'm almost done, because my time is winding up. My time is winding up. You all know what I've been doing for the word of the day, and I want to get back to it, and we're going to get ready to say this and shut it on down. The word of the day is village gatherers, and I'm going to shut the music off for just a second, because I want to deal with an area that I feel like a lot of times we still don't deal with this issue in the area of village gathering. But I feel like we need to pay it some attention, because it's still there. It still exists. And it is an issue that black people created. So my word of the day, post the list on Facebook. I sure will. I've got it. I'll share it. I've got it in Not Afraid to Speak, but I'll share it over on my page as well, so you can see it. But it's out there. But I will definitely share it on my page after this podcast is over. Now, this is something, when I was saying word of the day, village gatherers, what is an area that still needs to be addressed, and particularly for black people, what still needs to be addressed that will keep us from launching and lifting off into our destiny the way that we need to launch. And my word for the day, when I'm talking about village gatherers, deals with colorism. Because whether you realize it or not, colorism in the black community still exists. And so I wanted to address it, because we are village gatherers. And if we're going to gather the village together, we are going to have to break these barriers and bring our people back together. And whether you want to believe it or not, colorism is still very real. And I just want to share a real quick clip with you, and then we're going to talk about this just a little bit on today. Because listen, we are lions, and you're going to hear us roar, and we're going to get this together. All right. I'm going to do a screen share. So somebody said on yesterday, I thought something was wrong with my stream. I said, no. It's just me switching over to my screen share. This thing done went, there we go. It done went down size on me. So my eyes are having a little difficult time seeing it. All right, here we go.
Is colorism still a problem? Kim, what do you think about that? Do you think colorism is a problem? Is still a problem?
I think it is still a problem. I think it's getting better, much better. But it's among us. You know, that's the. Yeah. It is, and that becomes from the very beginning of time, because when, you know, we had the light-skinned people in the house, and the darker you are, the further you are in the field. So yeah, that was ingrained in us. So we're not that many generations away. I think it's getting better now, like the sister with no hair, and this one right here, dark chocolate, and you see all these beautiful colors, and we're embracing each other. You know, my mother, I thought she was white till I was 9 years old. That's a problem. And then one day I went home, I was like, "You white, mama?" And then she cussed me out like she was black, so then I knew that she was a black woman. So, and my father is very dark, you know? So I had all these different shades in my family, but we never in our family said like, oh, you light skin, you brown skin. We never had that in our family. But outside and in the community, we have it. I went to Fisk University, and they would say, oh, you can't run for Miss Fisk, or you too light, or you can't. I was like, too light? What's happening here? I'm at a black college.
It's us, though. It's us. I'm telling you.
We do it to us.
Yeah, it's us. And remember, I was saying earlier, we can't expect people to do what we have not figured out how to do ourselves. I have a father that is blonde hair and blue-eyed. So what he would always tell me how the difference in them. What was that look for?
I apologize. Okay, go ahead, one more time. It was judgment, I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But we do it to ourselves.
We
I
do.
think we minimize things that really become big later.
I'm gonna bring in a couple folks here.
The way we think about color, the closer you are to whiteness and lightness, good. The closer you are to darkness and black, dirty, bad. We already are black, and so we're already labeled as dirty, bad. It's not black people's fault that when I see the light-skinned girl that I think she's better or she got more privilege than me. Because that's what the white people told me. That's what these stories tell me. That's what television tells me. And so we have to think of it with a different lens of it's not our fault. This is what they told us. And we have to fight against that and think more on the grounds of we are black people, we are people.
You're gonna come right here.
Growing up, I didn't have a real good support from my mom. She was really color struck. We're the same color. And my mom did not love her color. So growing up, I didn't know how to love myself. I used to be the girl that I have to buy weed because if I don't, nobody's gonna like me. And now I cut off all my hair because that's something I've always wanted to do. And I was terrified to do it because I was like, people are gonna hate me so much for cutting off my hair. But when I did it, I felt so beautiful and free. Nobody could tell me anything at that point. I was a beautiful black woman with short hair, and you can't tell me anything about myself.
Black people are the only people who have colorism issues. I think the challenge for the black community is that we've internalized it and we've made it more vicious than it has to be in today's society. There are many people on Twitter who comment on how dark I am. I'm medium tone.
Right.
I'm too dark for some, I'm too light for others, and for a lot of them, I'm too round. But our opportunity is to decide who we intend to be in the space and how we're going to treat others in that space with us.
Yes.
Because whether we see the prejudice or we see the privilege, there are those who are making decisions about us, and they are imposing those decisions on us when they hire, when they fire, when they send a preschooler to time out, or when they send a teenager to prison. Those choices are being made, so we can't dismiss that it exists, but we can build the protections around ourselves so that we aren't doing it internally.
Do you think it's changing very much?
Yes, I mean, it's absolutely getting better because we talk about it. When you deny a problem, you can't fix the problem. And I think what's helpful for all of us is that we're actually talking about this as an issue and we're talking about solutions.
Ma'am, I'd love to hear from you.
I am light-skinned, but I have never been treated like I was white in my life. I've always been black. I've never felt any different from anybody else. And when I go to work, when I went to school, I was treated like a black woman. I was disrespected like a black woman. So it bothers me when people think because you're light-skinned, you're treated differently. I have never had that advantage in my life.
Now, so there you have it. As was stated, and let me get my music cranked back up here. I want to make some observations on that just real quickly, because as you heard, we still are plagued with that. Let me pull that down. We still are plagued with colorism right now today. So as we talk about gathering the village, and as was said there, we break it down when we talk about it. And I can tell you, even in dealing with young people that are in their teens, late teens, early 20s, they are still struggling in 2021 with colorism. Do I need to turn it down some more? Okay. So at the end of the day, I want us to begin to deal with what's inside the house. Now, a lot of things that we talk about, it was created from outside the house. I understand that. But I want to go back to, let's even deal with the reality of some of y'all are going to be real familiar with the idea of the brown paper bag test. The brown paper bag test, where black people created a system. Now, y'all ain't gonna like me. They created a system that was colorist in nature. And so the idea was based on whether or not you were lighter, the same shade, or lighter or darker than that brown bag. That determined almost like our own internalized racism. So at the end of the day, I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, how far have we moved from that? And I can look at some of my dark, deep chocolate sisters that are beautiful, who are struggling every day with low self-esteem because they may have been like I was when I grew up, because I'm definitely on the other side of that brown paper bag. And we got to deal with some things real honestly, because sometimes, beloved, the issues that we're having with one another are really carryover issues. The distrust, the jealousy, the angst, the anger, the untoward behavior towards one another. A lot of that is still being driven by our internalized colorism that still has impact within our own black community. Am I talking to anybody in here? So if I look at my chocolate babies who are so beautiful, but they're still being told they're too dark. You're still being told, thank you for coming with us, 23. It was so good to have you today. It was so good to have you. Thank you for joining us. You still have to deal with that whole element of people who want to judge you within our community. I'm talking about in the community. Now, this is the thing. You'll have people that say, oh, I that's not me. And I can listen. I can tell you of situations that I know of within my extended family where individuals were dark complected. And like, did you all hear the young lady when she said she had a mother that was the same complexion she was, but the mother didn't like herself, so she transferred that same dislike of her color to her daughter? It happens over and over and over again. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I had an extended family situation that I can witness to where the mother was darker complected. She married a lighter complected black man. And listen, I've heard people say, oh, I want somebody light complected because I want pretty kids. People that are dark complected, I want somebody lighter complected because I want pretty kids. What are you saying? What does that mean? So this situation, the dark-skinned mother marries a light-skinned man, has a dark-skinned daughter and a light-skinned daughter, and you see the villainization of the dark-skinned daughter, and the light-skinned daughter can do no wrong. But at the end of the day, every time you turn around, everything that this dark-skinned mother is doing shows the favoritism towards the light-complected daughter and the lack of favor towards the darker skinned person, daughter. And she has a problem with, now this is what's really crazy. She had a problem with everybody that was light complected. Anybody that was lighter complected than her, outside of her husband and outside of that one daughter, anybody that was lighter complected than her, they think they something. They think they cute. They think they all that just because they light skinned. They think they all that just because they got a nice grade of hair. They think, and then what's a nice grade of hair? Every grade of hair is good. That's what my beautician is always telling me. When I tell a girl this stuff, she said, no, every grade of hair is good. But we get these images and we want to say even projection from the outside. And even like now, I took a little issue with Kim saying, and then my mom cussed me out like black women do. All black women don't cuss their kids out. Let me just put that out there. Some do, My mama ain't never cussed me. And so there are other families out there, they're not cussing their children out. So all black mamas don't cuss their kids. But at the end of the day, this whole idea that it's all only because of field and house, and yes, there was a division, but I also want to interject some other things that some people may not realize. A lot of times, if you stop and think about it, sometimes in the communities where the slave master had illegitimate children with black women, many times those black children that came as a product of that were given special privileges, not just being in the house, but sometimes they were also given their freedom at a certain point in time when everybody else had to stay a slave. Now let's just deal with that. We're not even going to just talk about a house versus field. I'm talking about freedom versus slavery still. And so a lot of times you saw, and yes, there were those that were, as we used to call back in the day, they were passing. We used to have back in the days those that were passing, and they would go out and totally denounce anything about African American lineage. One of my favorite movies of all time, Imitation of Life. That is one of the most powerful, and I like both versions, the older version and the newer version. I like both versions of it. It's just so powerful. But we see colorism at its finest and highlighted because I'm passing because I don't want to be black. I don't want to identify as black. And then let's be real. We had situations where we saw folks that whether they were light complected or taught black as whatever, still trying to, and I started to say tar, but I refuse to say that because I grew up on Tar Baby. I grew up on Blackie. I grew up on Little Black Sambo and all those other little sayings and names that darker complected people were often called and mocked and all of that. And this is going into our little children. And I don't care, by the time they're in their preteens and adolescents, they already have an image negative about themselves, and they're already looking at their brothers and their sisters and their friends and their neighbors and having this sense of inferiority that's been put in them from our community and then compounded when you go outside of our community to other communities that could care less about anybody of color. And we have to deal with all of these different pressures and how they come down. And I say we got to look even beyond the simplicity of field and house, and we have to really start acknowledging the benefits. Even within the brown bag, paper bag test, sororities and fraternities were using that to determine who could get in, who couldn't. I'm talking about in our community. And we still have people, just like I said in that situation with my family members, where I'm saying with my mouth, I love everybody, but you obviously have a problem with anybody that's lighter complected than you, except for your husband and your daughter. And you show favoritism towards that light complected daughter that's obvious, and you show dislike and distaste for the darker child, and then you want to say, where did that come from? Look what they did to us. No, some of this we did and are doing to ourselves. Am I talking to anybody? So some of the attitudes that I hear expressed, some of the angst and anger and the jealousy and all of this, some of you all know you too light, your eyes are the wrong color. Don't come in here with some other color eyes. I have a dear friend, her eyes are really, really green. And people want to look at her like, girl, what happened to you? What kind of contact? Those are not contacts. Or actually her eyes are gray. Those are not contacts. These are my eyes. And then you get people that got attitude and she thinks she all that because she got gray eyes. He think he's all that because he got gray eyes. He got green eyes. He got eyes that change colors depending on his mood. And I know somebody like that. His eyes change color according to his mood. And then you have that whole audacity to make it as if you fit in this category right here, you're beautiful. But if you fit in this category right here, you're ugly. And then we continue to perpetuate that concept and that idea within our community in things that we won't talk about, but it still manifests and it divides the the village. And I'm saying to us today, even within our own village, we've got to deal with our own colorism issues. And we have to come to a point where, yes, we are empowered to reject colorism. We call it out loud and we talk about it. We have got, thank you for liking the stream. We have got to be honest with ourselves and stop playing games, because we've set up our own boundaries. And even as Sister Abrams said, I'm too dark for some, but I'm too light for others, and I'm too round for somebody else. We've got to learn how to grow and protect one another so that this colorism is broken all the way down so that the village can be gathered. I'm talking today. And it may not be what a lot of people want to hear, because I'm dealing with stuff that's happening in-house with black folks. Oh yeah, we love to talk about. But some of y'all can stop right now and remember either a time that an action was done against you, something that was said against you. And don't you fool yourself. You think all of the light complected people have it easier. Some of the lighter complected people got the most vitriol and hatred and venom from the darker complected people, as if they had some control over having light skin. As if they had control over having what we call, a lot of times in black community, good hair. And then we get all of this going on amongst ourselves, and we start clowning and acting out with each other. I'm talking about in our same families. And you got family members that are jealous and upset and try to get every opportunity to talk you down, put you down, be negative towards you, speak something to hurt your feelings, any kind of way to get in a jab and a dig because I think you're pretty. And really, it's your own personal insecurity. It has nothing to do with the person that you're really directing all of this at, but your own personal insecurity, your own personal garbage, your own personal stinking thinking. Or I gotta give you some love. Yes, some of us were out there and they talked about us like a dog with two tails. But listen, black is back in all of its shades. If it's a light, if it's a medium, if it's a dark, if it's just purple black, it's all beautiful. It's all beautiful. And until we stop it, stop oppressing one another, especially as a result and an offshoot of colorism. Nobody is better than and nobody is worse than. And we need to verbally begin to embrace one another. And we need to verbally begin to support one another. We need to verbally begin to show outwardly when anybody comes in with a tinge of colorism. We need to throw it out. Ooh, look at her nappy hair. Listen, Indy Irie said, I am not my hair. And my hair is beautiful. If I shave it off, like she pointed out the two sisters that were sitting bald, and that's the thing, y'all, when I looked at Black Panther, I loved Black Panther because it showed all shades and all colors, but especially, let's give one for the darker complected, that many times black wasn't in. Black is in right now, but black wasn't always in. And y'all know, we tell the truth, shame the devil, we yellow was in. You want a yellow male or fellow? You want a yellow male or sister? And I won't do anything darker than a brown paper sack. Come on, y'all. I'm talking about stuff that we did to ourselves, and the effects of it are still there. Barb, I'm trying to tell it like a T-I-Z-Tiz. No cream, no sugar. We taking this coffee strong and black. This is like a T-I-Z-Tiz. And we've had hatred. We've had all kind of negative behaviors that we have to endure from our own people because this colorism is still rearing its ugly head. And we can't talk about we want equal rights all over the place everywhere else, and we won't talk about our own colorism. laughing and snickering and making fun of one way or the other. And please believe me, I understand now more than ever. Just because you were light complected did not mean you had it easy, because that meant that you drew even more venom from more people over a skin complexion you had no control over. Am I talking to anybody? This in our village must be broken. Now, this is what I liked about the video. You notice when the young lady said, I have a blonde-haired, blue-eyed father, Kim started giving her the stank eye. Did y'all catch that? She started giving her the stank eye. And initially, did y'all notice the young woman tried to keep talking and just keep on like she didn't see it? But at the end of the day, she had to stop and recognize it and say that will not pass and give Kim a look, which made Kim aware that she had just gave her stank eye. And it also made her acknowledge, I judged you. Now, listen, y'all gotta be in that phase of not afraid to speak. Because some of that is the only thing that's going to bring people to their come to Jesus moment with themselves. I got an issue. I'm gonna tell you what, my family member would have gone to her grave believing she made no difference between her two children. And it was obvious as the nose on your face to everybody that watched that scenario break down in that household. And so ultimately what you ended up was this darker complected child all of her life out here trying to be validated and just going to and fro, just tossed like every wind, just like a ship without a sail, just out there. Because there's something about when you can't get the love of your mama. There's something about when you see a difference between you and your other siblings, and it's definitely based on color. There's something that happens down on the inside of you that can set you on a course to destruction. And we gotta be careful, because even a lot of times I see the pictures that go around on Facebook and they'll have their little babies up there and I'm like, oh, isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? And then all of a sudden, yeah. And I told them, I said, I'm gonna give you my tail when my TELL, not my TAIL. I ain't gonna give you my TAIL, but I'm gonna give you my tail. Oh, they're so precious. Isn't that just precious? But you know what? After I told my tale, I just got to the point where I'm just like, everybody's child is precious. I don't say, oh, she's beautiful. Oh, he's this. Oh, that. Everybody's precious, because I don't want anybody to say, she said when she says precious, that's because she ain't gonna lie. At the end of the day, everybody that God created, especially those precious little lives, they are beautiful and they are precious and they are gorgeous and they need to have. And so listen, that's even where each of us have to do introspection. I need you to look inside yourself. Are you dealing differently with anybody because colorism still got a hold of you? Or are you the recipient of other people's colorism issues where and if you are identifying that somebody's got an issue with you because of their colorism, you shake that off. It ain't your fault that you're beautiful. It ain't your fault that you're the color that you are, black and light complected. I'm not choosing one or the other, because all of us are beautiful. All of us are gorgeous. And if you cannot embrace me in this space because you have a colorism issue, that's your problem. Am I talking to anybody in here? So I'm looking and I'm saying village gatherers, because listen, it's subtle. It's sneaky. It creeps up on you. Am I talking to anybody? It'll ooze out of you when you least expect it. And I listen to people when they talk about people, and I look at people even when we're just kind of sitting, but ooh, she's so pretty. Oh, he's so handsome. And after a while, you start seeing trends, and I'll be like, okay, you color struck. That's what we used to call it, color struck. Oh, you color struck. You are color struck. I know some very dark complected sisters that refuse to marry another person the same complexion that they are because they don't want dark complected babies. What's that about? and vice versa. I had individual, yeah, I want me a light complected person so I can have some pretty babies. You dark? What's that mean? So you can have some pretty babies. And don't you think the children picked this mess up? Don't you think they sense it? Don't you think that they understand the difference and they feel the difference? They sense the difference. They understand it. Well, I'm not gonna say they understand it because it's beyond understanding, especially when you're small, but they can feel it. They're not stupid. And we need to admit, own, and acknowledge if we still have colorism that's operating in our system, get rid of it. And I said it comes out in sneaky little ways. It'll be like, ooh, and sometimes you're like, I don't know why this person doesn't like me. I just can't get a grip. I can't get a handle on what is it. Colorism. Colorism. She thinks she all that. I'm telling it like a TIZT is. This is no cream, no sugar. This coffee is strong and black. This is real in our community. And when we talk about village gatherers, we cannot continue to act as if it doesn't exist, because to do so is the same as white people saying racism is over. It ain't over. It ain't over. And until we continue to address it for what it is, and until we continue to correct it, come on with them coffee cups, until we continue to correct it truthfully and honestly, it's going to continue to permeate and destroy our communities and our ability to come together as village gatherers. And we're going to have to deal with the reality. Just like whites cannot say racism is over, black folk cannot say that colorism is over, because it's still here like an elephant in the room, tearing people up and tearing people down. Yeah, we did that to ourselves. We did that to ourselves. We started creating our own little internal class system, our own little identification system, our own little you're in but you're out system. How you gonna tell me if I'm one shade darker than a paper bag I don't fit, I don't belong, I can't be a part of? Who does that? People that are wounded and tore up and confused. But we're not wounded and tore up and confused and gonna stay in that state any longer. Colorism has got to stop so that we can have the village gathering. It is an enemy of our unity, Gloria, all day long. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining. We've got to get rid of it, and we got to stop playing like we don't have it. We do. We do. It still permeates. And so when I look at my young sisters, and I am glad that I get the opportunity to hopefully speak some life into them so that they don't live from that same place and space that I did. Little Black Sambo, Tar Baby, Blackie, you ugly. All of those things because of the color of my skin. And at the end of the day, I'm looking at brothers that are 10 times darker than me, unattractive, and their constant hunt is somebody light complected so they can have some pretty babies. Am I talking to anybody? We're destroying mentally, emotionally, psychologically our own babies, and we gotta stop. We gotta stop. And so I say, wear your skin, wear the skin that you're in, wear it boldly, wear it proudly. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about the color of your skin. I loved it that my little baby, the little poet laureate, Amanda Gorman, that bright yellow dress on that beautiful creamy black skin with that pop of red color. Girl, get you some. Get you some. Get you some. Because at her age, I would not have been caught dead in a yellow dress, not just because I felt some kind of way about it. I was told dark complected people, not from my parents, dark complected people don't wear certain colors. Am I talking to anybody? But dark complected people can wear whatever color they want to. Light complected people can wear whatever they want to. Because we all are people that have our own mind, our own style, our own likes and dislikes. And we need to strut our stuff no matter who we are. And don't let nobody back you down. Don't let anybody make you feel less than. Don't let anybody, and again, I'm saying from one end of the spectrum to the other, because this is the thing I want y'all to understand, beloved. All shades get oppressed. All shades get talked about. All shades get shot down and mistreated and abused alike for being to this or to that. So we're all in the same boat. Don't do it. Don't let yourself be shot down. Don't let yourself be talked down. Don't let yourself be run down by people that got issues with their own security of who they are. I don't care if your grandmama taught you. I don't care who taught you. It was wrong from the beginning. And I'm going to close with that on today. Because at the end of the day, colorism is an enemy to village gatherers. And if you still going to operate from that place, work on it, please work on it, because we just can't abide it in this hour. We can't abide it in this hour. It cannot continue. It cannot go on. And we need to call it out. And I love the fact that sister called her out. Oh, what was that? Oh, and what did she have to do? She had to come correct. Judgment. Okay, put your hand on over there and let Stacy slap it, because it was out of order. You were out of order. You were out of order. And I told you it's sneaky. I'm sure Kim didn't mean for that to slip out of there, but it slipped out because it's in there. Because it's in there. And I'm saying to each one of us, introspection. I want you to take a look deep inside yourself. And if it's in there, if you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. SK, I'm gonna come back up and get what you said. Our babies are born all different shades regardless of the parent's complexion. Come on here. And listen, at the end of the day, love me. Come on, Gloria, love me. Mama Africa is creative like that. She can take you from every hue and she can take you from every shade from the same parents. Because Mama Africa birthed everybody. At the end of the day, I don't care if you're European white, I don't care if you're black, Mother Africa birthed us all. And so the whole gamut of our melanin, it's all still Mama Africa. And don't you forget it. Don't get it twisted. But colorism in this phase and move, just like racism, has got to go. Well, that's my word of the day for today. I hope this helped y'all. I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you didn't, I still hope that you'll think about the things that I said, because listen, this was no cream, no sugar. I was giving it to you like it T-I-Z-T-is, because at the end of the day, what I told you is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And you know what we are? We are lions. We're in a totally different day. We are lions, and you're going to hear us roar. Yes, this pride, P-R-I-D-E, of lions, we are relentless, and you're going to hear us roar. So I'm saying to you, I don't care if you're high yellow, as we used to call it back in the day. I don't care if you're paper bag brown. I don't care if you're black as your skin can possibly be. I want you to know at the end of the day, you are a lion and I want to hear you roar. It's in there. It's in there. Well, I feel for my brother and I feel for my sister. And this has been Regina L. Stillman, your spiritual thought leader. And I want to appreciate you for joining me on Yes You OQ. It's one-on-one. It's just been me and you. And so I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast on today. I want to encourage you to follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, Twitter, Twitch, Anchor, Discord, and more. I'm out there, y'all. I'm out there. And as my dear friend Rhonda Royal Confessions came on in the room today to hear y'all's confessions. As my dear friend Rhonda Royal says, if you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. And I always say this, don't just talk about change, but I want you to be the change. And my last words are always to remind you, it's us, you, me, we all. And I love to tell you, I want you to go through the rest of this day. I love you, and I want you to have peace for your journey. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. I can't find my intro, y'all.
You're my brother. I said I love you, babe. I won't forget you, no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. It's time to feel life is cheap. Everything's disposable and so are we. Can you hear me? Life is real, yeah. And if there's a heaven above, please start showing a brother real love. 'Cause I wanna go home.